Gentlemen, you all know why we're here. We're here to talk about this supremely important election. Now, my name is William Jefferson Winthrop. I'm here from the great state of Ohio. Boo! But I know you brave Americans really want to do your civic duty in this very important election. We are in the midst of one of the worst wars in American history, certainly. Our great nation was born on the ballot box. We all know this, and I know you gentlemen are prepared. You've already been giving your life's blood pumping by bringing this new blood into our political system by the vote. And by new blood, I mean fresh blood, not this old blood that we have in Washington already. We shall. We need a fresh perspective, gentlemen, a fresh perspective to the government. The government that we have in Washington is moribund. It's filled with policemen, hangers-on, and worse, war profiteers. Now, you gentlemen know this. Some of the equipment you've gotten has fallen apart as soon as you put it on.
It's all for the union.
Well, if that's for the union, that's a union we don't need. That kind of profiteering off of your backs, endangering you. We all know that the fish rots from the head. But this great floundering nation is floundering because of Abraham Lincoln. Now, gentlemen, Abe Lincoln himself, he admits that he doesn't have the most pleasing countenance to view. We all know this. And good Lord knows that on that account, our esteemed Commander-in-Chief is telling the God's honest truth. That I'll hand to you. It's true that our backwoods leader is a quick with a quip and a humorous story. He can rip a yarn with the best of them, of course. But, gentlemen, I submit to you that this mere humorist, this joking man, is not what we need in the White House today. Nay, I say to you, in our perilous times, demands a man of substance. And George Brinton McClellan is that man. Now, McClellan ably led our nation's largest army in the East.
Backwards!
But he could make no headway with that tyrant Lincoln looking over his shoulder every single day. Forever looking over that shoulder and checking his every attempt to win this war. Why, McClellan has more schooling, more learning, and more stature than Lincoln by half.
That stature's about right.
That's right. Lincoln may never have even seen the inside of a schoolhouse, while McClellan has conferred with leaders of nations throughout the world.
He should have stayed there. Here, here.
Yeah. But it's far more important, rather, what Lincoln has done as president than what McClellan has achieved in his long, successful life. We all simply must oppose Lincoln with our last breath.
Hooray!
Lincoln's attack on our Constitution is absolutely the worst this country has ever seen.
Agreed.
Soon after the war began, the reign of the mob was supplanted by the iron domination of arbitrary power.
Black Republicans!
Exactly. Led by that black Republican who stepped into the White House, put there by divided parties, and one of the lowest vote totals in our history. Constitutional limitation was then broken down. Habeas corpus fell. Liberty of the press gone. This liberty of speech, freedom of speech gone. Freedom of persons gone. Of the males, of travel, of one's own house, and of religion. The right to bear arms, due process of law, judicial trial, trial by jury, trial at all. All of this gone at the hands of this man. Every badge and monument of our freedom in the Republican government, or maybe it's a kingly government we have now. I know it's all so easy to say, but I beg pardon, folks. I beg your pardon, folks. Let's get into more courtly language. The President of the United States has proclaimed the nation's Constitution to be in full nullity. Whatever pleases this president, that is the law. Prisoners of state were then
whatever he said.
Midnight, an arbitrary arrest commenced. Travel was stopped. Trade embargoed. Passports demanded. Bastilles were built. Strange oaths invented. A secret police organized in America. It all began under this man. We now have spies for the first time in America. The right to declare war, to raise and support armies, and to provide and maintain a navy. All these were usurped by this executive. Thus was civil war inaugurated in America. Can any man today see the end of it? Is there an end to this war? Can you see it?
Will we burn Richmond?
We'll make an end to it.
We're making an end of it right now.
Save the Union!
What? And yet, even with all that, even with the near end of our constitutional system, these many years have elapsed, but the rebellion is not crushed out. Its military power has not been broken, the insurgents not dispersed. The Union is not restored, the Constitution is not maintained, nor the laws enforced. 20, 60, 90, 300 days, 600 days. They've all passed. 1,000 millions in the national treasury has been expended, 300,000 and more lives lost. And today the Confederate flag still flies, so very near our own.
Because of McClellan!
But gentlemen of Illinois, you brave soldiers of the Western Plains, I say to you, look around you. How many of you have been snuffed out since you joined this service?
Too many.
Too many indeed. 2 years ago, two whole regiments of Illinois troops, they quit the service when Lincoln issued that emancipation.
Copperhead.
But money you have expended without limit, and blood poured out like water, defeat, debt, taxation, sepulchres built, these are Lincoln's trophies. The war for the Union is in his hands, and he turned it into a most bloody and costly failure. The president confessed it on the 22nd of September in '62, when the war for the Union, the thing you all fought for, was abandoned, and the war for slavery began. But with what success? Let the dead of Fredericksburg, the tens of thousands killed at Gettysburg, the fallen at Vicksburg, they answer that question, gentlemen. Let those who've fallen on the fields from east to west attest to Lincoln's utter failure. Abe Lincoln's legacy is drowning in blood of honest, hard-working men such as yourselves. It's time, gentle soldiers from Illinois, time to seek equitable solutions to this conflagration, a primal battle that seems to have no end in sight. It is time to end this pointless, wasteful, sorrowful bloodshed. Gentlemen of the West, I say to you, it's time for George Brenton McClellan. A man of martial airs. He is a man, a soldier like yourselves. Men of Illinois, I say, vote McClellan. Bring peace to our nation. McClellan in peace! McClellan in peace! McClellan in peace! McClellan in peace! Sir.
Save the Union, Father Abraham!
Down with McClellan!
Die for Father Abraham. McClellan's a patriot.
Black Republican!
Rail splitters! Illinois for rail splitters!
We've heard this civilian, this shirker, this stay-at-home layabout speak to our brave army for feels about an hour. About as long as McClellan's ever been victorious. Brave men of the Army of the Cumberland. I speak to you now as patriotic soldiers in arms against treasonous rebels in rebellion against our great Union. For 3 years of war, our brothers slain at Belmont, and Pea Ridge, Maryville, Cold River, Chickamauga, Missionary Ridge, and 100 days of battle for Atlanta. If we vote for McClellan, all our brothers slain are for nothing. Millions of treasures spent, the labors of a nation wasted, thousands of lives lost, for nothing. A vote for Lincoln is a vote to restore the Union with slavery abolished.
Hurrah!
A vote for McClellan is a vote to restore the Union with slavery intact. To end a bloody strife and restore peace by replastering the old edifice of the Union is a pitiful waste of life and treasure spent
Why
in
should
great
we die for slaves?
You're not dying for slaves, you're dying for the
To
Constitution!
vote for McClellan is to vote for the humiliation of the North, the perpetual upholding of slavery, and the severance of the great republic.
Here, here.
I ask you, Which candidate can see this struggle through to our inevitable victory? McClellan, who time and time again led an overpowering army into the field. Our brave brothers of the Army of the Potomac, 2-to-1 odds against Lee's boys, brought to the peninsula, only to be routed in defeat, not because of the men fighting, because of a failure of leadership in McClellan.
Yeah, that's what you were saying after Manassas.
If the treasonous Copperheads prevail, the South will have insanely violated the Constitution by leaving our Union, ruin thousands of homes, after which it will return to the Union more invulnerable, more arrogant, more insolent than ever. This civilian from Ohio speaks of the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus against our criminals, against the traitors of the Union.
Hate them all!
Get a rope! We've had this happen, it's true. 6 months ago, when our brothers were home in Illinois on furlough in Charleston, they were attacked by treasonous Copperheads, visiting home for the first time in many years after war. Of course, our brothers prevailed. The men leading this riot were brought to justice. They were shipped east, and the writ of habeas corpus was suspended against them. I say it is just for attacking brave Union soldiers visiting home. I won't talk to you for an hour. Not much needs to be said about our candidate. We know the rail splitter is the man to lead us through to victory. If we vote McClellan, for the Negroes, no hope of freedom. For the poor whites, eternal dependence and perpetual debasement. For the rich planters, the intoxication of power and success. If anybody thinks about voting for McClellan, remember this. If McClellan could not take Richmond with his base in Washington, he will not take Washington with his base in Richmond.
Right, go, ship.